Middle-aged man, hands stained with paint. Wearing a slightly worn dark jacket. Standing in a sunlit artist's workshop with tall north-facing windows. Daniel cleaning brushes in his workshop. Sunlight streaming on linseed oil and turpentine bottles. Daniel sitting at a wooden easel, staring at a half-finished painting. Small marble floors reflecting light from windows. Daniel teaching his daughter to paint. The two hands covered in paint, quiet concentration. Daniel walking down a snow-covered side street of Boston. Workshop sign above the door reading Marsh Conservation. Close-up of Daniel's hands holding a delicate paintbrush. Knuckles stained. Light dusting of snow outside the window. Daniel and Nora walking in Boston snow. Footprints trailing behind them. City lights blurred in background. Workshop interior at night. Small lamps casting warm light over partially restored art. Daniel working alone. Daniel looking at a wall of sketches and notes. Analytical expression. Old photographs pinned beside them. Daniel holding his daughter's hand in a quiet auction house corridor. Tense atmosphere. Golden chandelier light. 7-year-old girl with brown hair. Small hands, holding a juice box. Standing in a snow-dusted street. Nora on a folding stool. Coloring quietly in a large, dim auction hall. String quartet faintly visible in background. Nora reading a word problem worksheet at kitchen table. Pencil in hand, serious concentration. Nora walking slightly ahead of her father. Looking ordinary, thoughtful expression. Snowy urban street. Close-up of Nora's small hand inside Daniel's paint-stained hand. Nora packing a backpack with a juice box, coloring book, and a paperback above her grade level. Nora peeking around a workshop easel at her father, curious expression. Nora walking down a side alley. Snow piling up against dumpsters, bundled in a winter coat. Nora seated at a kitchen table. Papers and pencils scattered. Winter sunlight streaming through the window. Nora looking up at the workshop ceiling, fascinated by hanging lights and shadows. Woman in her mid-40s, dark green wool coat. Standing on a Boston sidewalk with snow on her shoulders. Leather portfolio underarm. Meg Calloway walking into a small conference room. Tense expression, folder on table. Meg seated at a table with 3 men standing around her. Light from a half-opened door casting long shadows. Close-up of Meg's hands hovering over an untouched pen next to a folder. Anxiety visible in her posture. Meg at a gala, dark green evening gown. Spotlighted among other attendees, carefully composed pose. Meg in a cab with Daniel, looking cautious but composed. City lights reflecting off the windows. Meg at a small cafe table with Daniel. Portfolio open, snow visible outside the window. Meg studying her surroundings, calculating, sharp eyes, slight tension in jaw. Meg walking past Daniel in the workshop, coffee cup in hand, faint steam rising. Meg reviewing a legal folder. Papers spread on a marble conference table. Pen in hand, decisive expression. Middle-aged man in a business suit. Sliding a folder across a conference table toward a seated woman. Vance's 2 silent men flanking him. One with leather portfolio, one empty-handed. Tense corporate atmosphere. Close-up of a folder labeled confidential, papers visible. Shadow of man looming over it. Small conference room. Harsh overhead light, 3 men standing. Woman seated, tension palpable. Vance speaking to Meg in measured, corporate tones, leaning slightly over table. Dark, shadowy office corridor, cameras blinking off, surveillance unnoticed. Vance looking at his computer screen. Numbers and stock prices on display, expression calculating. Vance's office at night. City lights in the window, empty leather chair. Folder lying on the table. Close-up of Vance's polished shoes stepping into a marble-floored corridor. Folder being placed into a shredder, office dimly lit, sense of high stakes. Vance looking at his computer screen. Numbers and stock prices on display, expression calculating. Vance's office at night. City lights in the window, empty leather chair. Folder lying on the table. Close-up of Vance's polished shoes stepping into a marble-floored corridor. Folder being placed into a shredder, office dimly lit, sense of high stakes. Snow softly falling on Boston streets at dusk. Orange streetlights glowing on wet pavement. Auction house interior, marble floors reflecting chandeliers. Distant string quartet playing. Service corridor with yellow light spilling from a half-open door, shadows long. Small workshop with easels, half-finished paintings. Jars of turpentine, soft morning light. Boston side alley with snow piled against dumpsters, faint light from windows. Cab pulling up in snow, driver in uniform, city lights blurred. Folding stool and coloring book scattered in a quiet auction hall corner. Coffee cups steaming on a wooden workbench, brushes and portfolio nearby. North-facing workshop windows with snow drifting down outside, warm interior glow. Close-up of a child's pencil writing on a worksheet. Faint reflection of an adult watching.